Hello, and welcome to my kitchen. Yet another crayon speed paint has come and will be gone as you are watching this video. Yes, you're watching this art piece come to life right now. And if you are tempted to eat crayons because the smooth, delectable, waxy texture of this pigmented stick is satisfying to the fingies, don't. This has been your warning. Now back to talking about this art piece, starting off with the inspiration. Recently, as a part of me challenging my anxiety and getting out of the house more, now that the pandemic is finally slowing down after what seemed like a few years in a cryogenic sleep chamber, I got my own library card and started checking out books. Not only to find inspiration as well as new hobbies to try, but to also rekindle a habit of recreational reading simply for the joy of it. Because the public school system I went to ruined reading for me. So now that I have escaped its demonic clutches, I am determined to find love for it again. There is so much I can learn from books. So much more context for things I want to learn can be found in books rather than, quick search on Google. So I checked out a book on Nordic fairy tales and folktales. The first story I read was the Finnish folktale about a mouse princess. I'm not going to say much more about it because the story was so freakishly adorable that it brought me to tears, and I knew. I had to make a piece inspired by it. So that's what this piece is. And if you actually go and read the adorable little tale, a lot of details I put into this piece will make a lot more sense. So go read it! After this video, obviously, because I still want you to see this piece, that's why you're here in the first place. This isn't what most people dive into this early in their content careers, but I feel that this is important, mainly for myself, not really for anyone else. So, future me, if you're watching, hi, hello. At the time of recording this voiceover, it's currently August 2022. Almost a year ago, I lost Ophelia. She was a force to be reckoned with, seemingly the source of joy and energy that I struggled to find in daily life. Ophelia had always been my shadow because she chose to be. She would even run up the driveway after my car when I would leave, simply because she didn't want to be anywhere I wasn't. I didn't know it at the time, but having the consistent company of someone who wanted to be in my presence and would love me no matter what was such a comfort to me. It was a comfort I didn't know I would miss until she wasn't there anymore. Before this, all the death that had happened in my family didn't affect me as this did. Mainly because I was trying to be strong and jar up the emotions I had at the time to be there for others who were hurting far more than I was. So when Ophelia passed, it was the first time in my life I actually had to face grief that shook my body, soul, and mind. To add on top of that, in November, a month after Ophelia passed, I came down with COVID, and the whole family did. Except for Dad, as he got vaccinated. Of course, as I will know, having previous health complications and adding COVID on top of that, November was scary. I had to spend the majority of my time being sick alone, as everyone else went to Arizona to see my aunt for Thanksgiving. After COVID left my system, I was just in a blur. I don't actually remember December all that well. The whole month just felt like a foggy mirror of sickness and depression. The antidepressants I had been taking previously didn't help at all in these months, and I say sickness because having COVID reawakened my previous health complications to a tenfold. Although still, I did everything I could to still live as normally as humanly possible, which included working part-time. After getting a prescription for new antidepressants, I finally felt as if maybe I would make a turnaround. But on day 1 of taking the new medication, my body collapsed. COVID had taken me down again, this time brought on by a panic attack combined with hours of lung trouble. Mom and Dad were so scared. I almost went to the hospital that night. Another 2 weeks I spent in isolation, only to be met with my health seemingly growing worse. I was so weak and hardly did anything but stare at my computer. In fear of having a rare side effect from my new medication, I stopped taking it, and I never did again. The following months were just a dragging of tiredness and sickness. I lost my job simply because my boss knew I wouldn't take the time I needed to heal myself. Still, I'm grateful she made that choice for me. Life just seemed to stay still around me, even though I knew everything else was still moving at bone-shattering speeds. Not that I ever thought the world revolved around me, I just would observe and watch the lives of my family spin. But by May, I was starting to make slow progress towards better health for myself. But at more of a climber with 2 broken legs and can only depend on their arms to make progress out of the valley type speed. However, at the end of that month, I started seeing a psychologist. And by June, I had found out some news that changed my perspective of myself forever. I had ADHD, which doesn't seem very surprising as a lot of people have it. And, well, I just never considered the fact that I would have it, or I was curious about it, but just always thought that I probably wouldn't have any indication or testing of it. But since then, it was like the pieces started fitting together. It explained why I did certain things, why I despised my younger self to the point of, still to this day, unforgiveness. Better yet was the fact that Mom finally understood some questions she always had about me and why parenting me always seemed to be an uphill battle that always ended rolling back down. After graduating from college, finally being able to leave the prospect of school behind me, I felt freer than ever to pursue what I always wanted: art. But of course, the journey I had found myself in as summer progressed hindered me. I had to keep reminding myself that I was working on my mental health whenever I would start to feel antsy or as if I wasn't doing enough to merit me resting in my day. Which is still a hard lesson I'm dealing with even now. Thanks to the support of my friends and family, I'm doing better at not being so hard on myself when I need to take a break, or when my body starts telling me I need to take a break. Today marks my second week of finally being properly medicated. Future me, I cannot begin to tell you how much this has changed me. Not to the point of the climber with the broken legs magically being healed and Sanic speeding their way to the top, but more like the climber splintered their legs and wrapped them with care. Now they can take methodical steps, although faster, still taking care as they climb up. The valley, however, looks smaller and smaller with each step. I am still learning and have a long way to go, but future me, this is where you have been. And this is when the year of blur and sadness finally started to look a little brighter. like a Disney film. Oh-wee. Ophelia is not happy about it. She's still unhappy. Look at this grumpy girl. Oh no, not